Well, here's a guy on X that was, that was the same guy that was trying to attack a couple of my friends last night. Huh. Let's see what he's got to say.
Funny. Idaho's loudest political voices moved here less than 5 years ago. They fled the wreckage of California to teach us how to be real conservative. Idaho doesn't need refugees with 60,000 followers. Ooh, we need builders, stewards, and doers.
Full stop. Idaho does need refugees. Idaho's biggest problem has been, in my opinion, the Idaho Republican Party. It's been too soft and too milquetoast. Frankly, the state of Idaho has been a go along to get along state for a long time. For the last 30 years, people like myself have said, I know I personally have said, one of the biggest problems we've got in this state is what happens in that beautiful Capitol building in Boise, Idaho. I don't find this to be any different lately, but some things have changed. In the last year especially, my friends, Lauren and Brandy, have raised Cain big time. They've made people uncomfortable, and frankly, it's a really good thing. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I am not a registered Republican. That might change out of necessity, but I am not a registered Republican. I am a conservative. I've always been a constitutional conservative. I'm a Rush baby. I've been listening to Rush Limbaugh since he was on that radio program that this fella who is attacking my friends, I guess he's on that same station at about 7 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. Must have a huge following because he really needed to get after particularly these two individuals who are doing their best to try and help this state. As the son of I guess you'd say refugee, but definitely an immigrant. My father immigrated from the Basque Country in 1965, God rest his soul. My mother was first generation born in this country. I am, I guess, a native Idahoan, as native as they get. I remember my dad used to say to some of the neighbors at certain times when they talked about all these Californians that were moving in the 1980s, and in his broken English he would tell them, well, where'd you come from? If you weren't pulling a teepee, then you came from someplace too. And it cracked me up as a teenager, and I realize now that, it's the wisdom of that went a little bit deeper than just the crassness on the surface. And I think that's what's being missed by certain individuals, such as this one that I was listening to a moment ago. We were on an X space last night, a really productive space, and this particular individual had to chime in about how in Idaho we should be ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't find it very gentlemanly or ladylike to see that our state legislature has gotten to the point where we spent in 2024, not appropriated, but spent, actual dollars gone bye-bye, $12.2 billion. Pre-COVID, we were spending $6.2 billion. So in 5 years, we've not seen the population grow to the point that we should be seeing a need to go from $6.2 billion spent to $12.2 billion spent. Our population hasn't doubled. When this gentleman was discussing the transplants, as he put it, or refugees, if you will, I'm going to go back to the fact that I welcome these refugees. Another thing that I have said for many years, and I will continue to say, is there are two things, in my opinion, that are going to save the state of Idaho and get us back to true conservatism and to our roots. One of those things is going to be our friends and transplants from California who did in fact escape that Hades that they were stuck in. Those are our true political refugees. They have seen the playbook. They've seen what happened over there. They can warn us if we will listen. Those Californians and our North Idaho friends who have reclaimed North Idaho from what it once was not that long ago, where we had the crazy skinhead people around Hayden Lake area and the eastern Washington influence of politics up there. I lived in north central Idaho, and it is a different state up there, and it's the state that we need because they also realize we can't just go along to get along. Sometimes a person has to fight. And I'll go back to that. I think there's a lot of good fighters in our Republican Party in the state of Idaho right now. what I know is that for the time that I've voted, since I turned 18 years old, although I've never been a registered Republican, the only time I can remember not voting for a Republican was when I voted for Bo Gritz for president in 1992. I also had the opportunity when I lived in northern Idaho to actually have met that gentleman, and he was truly a gentleman, and in my opinion, an American hero. These are not nice people. I remember people used to say stuff like that about Bo Gritz too. He wasn't nice. And that's a good thing, because what nice gets us is nice paves that wide road and makes it really easy to basically just spend ourselves into oblivion, go along and get along until we have a mayor in our capital city who just flouts the laws. Going along to get along gets us the kind of all hat, no cowboy governor we have right now in our little tyrant who says nothing about the lawlessness happening there. We don't even have enough time to start touching upon the judges that have been appointed recently in North Idaho. We have an opportunity here in Idaho to reclaim true conservative roots. One of the challenges that we have had is that the Republican Party in Idaho has not, for the most part, been truly following their party platform. But we go along to get along. We're nice. And the road to destruction is wide. That's why we need more people like Lauren and Brandy. We need more people like that who are going to go ahead and rock the boat, rattle a cage, pick your metaphor here. What I really don't want to hear, and what I think most Idahoans don't want to hear, is how we need to go along to get along. We need to be ladies and gentlemen. That's not what we need right now. We need people to stand up for what Idaho is truly for. Speaking on behalf of myself and many, many other Idahoans that I know, we do not want to turn into Washington or Oregon or what California became after Reagan. A lot of that happened because people are nice. Time for nice is over. It's time to fight. Let's get into the fight. Let's make these things matter. I, for one, plan to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I would strongly encourage everyone who has the opportunity, go ahead and jump on the Doge website for Idaho. What a fantastic idea. We now have an opportunity, with the next meeting coming up on the 25th of August, to go ahead and make our voices heard. If we go to the Doge portal, you can fill out anonymously if you don't want to be identified, but our legislators want to hear our ideas on how we can chop some of the bloat in our government. And if we do that, if we start there and put our own financial house in order, I think a lot of these other problems will go away. Let's all support one another. Let's go, Idaho.